5 weeks. 5 weeks down this NFL season. And yet, I don't know if anybody's good. I really do not know if anyone in the NFL can actually play. I really don't. So the theme of this video, this review, after 5 weeks of the NFL, the theme is that I think everybody sucks. I'm just going to be honest. That includes the undefeated teams. That includes the New York Jets. All of them. All 32. I'm not leaving anybody out of the discussion here. They all suck. But before we get into that and other topics from week number 5, where I review, recap, rave, and rant, make sure you do Gronk spike the like button and subscribe to the Bottom Line View if you haven't already for weekly NFL reviews. Also, comment your opinion on this week in the NFL, week number 5. What do you think? Do you think anyone is good in the NFL right now? And I'm talking teams, not players, but anyone in the NFL, are they good? Do they suck? Are you with me here? And let me know your opinion on your team this week, what you thought of them, how you thought they played, and any other interesting storylines that were a part of another week, week number 5 of this NFL season. Let's kick it off with a very rare Tuesday night football. It is extremely rare that we get to talk about football on the day of the Bottom Line Review, but that is the case. I hope you guys all watch the game because we're going to talk about it first. So let's start off with the Tuesday night game, which was the Buffalo Bills facing the Tennessee Titans. Of course, the Titans have only played 3 games up until this point. The Buffalo Bills played 4. Both teams were undefeated, so this was an undefeated Tuesday night contest. One team looked really solid, executed, did not shoot themselves in the foot, and the exact was opposite. The exact was opposite? The exact was true, except the opposite for the Buffalo Bills. The Titans, they were executing at a high level. They were not hurting themselves with penalties. They were not turning the football over. The Tennessee Titans were running the ball when they wanted to. They were passing the ball when they wanted to. They played solid enough defense to get the job done. Their special teams was outstanding tonight. And the Tennessee Titans came out on top in a absolute shellacking, blowout, dominant performance over a team in the Buffalo Bills that, I'm not going to lie, I was about to claim and say, thinking that the Bills were going to win this game, that they were the best team in the AFC. But boy, was I wrong, all right? The Buffalo Bills have a long way to go to prove to me that they are among the elite in the NFL. And tonight, they showed their flaws. I understand they have a few players hurt. John Brown, Tre'Davious White, Wallace, Milano. The Titans also have injuries. They've gone through their own circumstances, and every team has injuries. Every team has had to deal with stuff, especially this season. You know, practice, no practice, COVID, no COVID, injuries, no injuries. And I really feel like we're starting to get to the end of that point this season, where we're starting to get to the end of this preseason, you would call it. Right? I always take the first 4 weeks in the NFL, even with the preseason, which we didn't have this year, as kind of an extended preseason. It's kind of a feeling out of who the good teams are, who the bad teams are, and it's a feeling out of your identity and what you want to be for the rest of the season. I feel like during weeks 8 to week 12, that's about where we get the best quality football with the mix of good health of teams and the mix of, okay, they kind of know what they are now, and it's not so much about figuring out an identity. It's more securing that identity and letting a statement out on the football field. But through these first 4 or 5 weeks, this has been the case. I think an extended preseason for all the teams, to be quite honest with you, that they're trying to feel out what their identity is. And you saw tonight, I think, that the Tennessee Titans, they kind of know what they want to be, right? And that's the same thing that they were last year. Run the football, play complementary defense, get a couple turnovers here and there. You have an incredible punter who, by the way, I know it's funny to say, but Kern could be the best player in the league. I'm not even exaggerating. I think Brett Kern is the best player in the NFL. Am I crazy? I've never seen the guy make a bad punt in my life. Every time I watch this guy, the guy is insane. Every time. It's within the 10-yard line. The ball. Like, what a weapon. I know it's funny to talk about punters, but the guy's incredible. He's the best punter in the league. I don't even think it's close. I think he helped the Titans win this game more so than most punters will ever help their team win this game. He's very valuable. Never talked about, but very valuable, all right? The Titans, they know what they want to be. That was my lesson tonight, that the Titans came out, they played hard, they executed. Mike Vrabel is a very good coach. Arthur Smith is an excellent coordinator who I think, rich or not rich, should get an opportunity to be a head coach in this league very soon because he deserves it to me. He calls a good game just about every time I see that team roll out on offense. He calls a good game, and he knows what his strengths are offensively. He knows who to get the football to. He knows how to attack a defense on a weekly basis depending on the team he's playing and the scheme he's playing. And it just seems like the Titans are able to mix it up, and each and every week, whether they have to run the ball, whether they have to pass the ball. Now, Ryan Tannehill has been proving throughout the first month that if he needs to be relied on, if he needs to be the guy to carry this Titans offense, he can do it. He can do it. I think he's proving that right now. For the Buffalo Bills, though, I think we saw their flaws. We had a bad Josh Allen today, and we knew we were eventually going to get a bad Josh Allen just because of the style of play that he plays with. He has a very high variance, so he's rather going to be awesome or sometimes he's going to suck. That's just kind of the way he plays. And I don't think he sucked today. I think a lot of the mistakes that were made by him weren't necessarily his fault. Like the first interception, he threw it right in the guy's hands and it bounced off his hands and went to Malcolm Butler for an interception. He made his fair share of bad plays, but I don't think he was the reason for their loss. I think the reason to be concerned if you're a Bills fan is not their offense. It's not Josh Allen, because I think he'll bounce back. And I think when they get John Brown back and just have the entirety and the scope of this offense, they're going to be good. The defense is concerning. That's what concerns me, to be honest with you. The defense, it has lacked a pass rush big time. It struggles to get after the quarterback when they need to get after the quarterback. It's really not forcing the turnovers they used to be forcing. Their run defense is average at best, and in the second half, they were exposed. I understand they have injuries, but even when they were healthy, they weren't exactly playing their best versus some subpar offenses. So the Bills really have a lot of work to do on that defensive side of the football because like I've said the last few weeks, the Buffalo Bills cannot run versus the local high school team. So even when they have a lead, they're not going to be able to close that lead out because they can't run for 3 yards a carry. I mean, it's just everything is on Josh Allen right now. And we saw through 4 weeks that Josh Allen was good enough, honestly, great enough to put this team in position to be undefeated. But Josh Allen has almost become the exact opposite of what he was. Josh Allen was the guy that people were saying was holding back the Bills. But right now, Josh Allen is the guy that's actually carrying the Bills. And without Josh Allen actually being a competent player today or a good quarterback today, an MVP candidate player today, they fell apart. They were not able to win a shootout. Their defense was unable to get off the field when they needed to, and they could not run the football. So everything was on the shoulder on the shoulders of Josh Allen to me, right? And that's just not a way you can play, especially when you're a roster that is built through a head coach that style and that schematically is a defense-first guy. So you have Sean McDermott, who's supposed to be this defensive genius, and thus far it has not been Sean McDermott. It has been Josh Allen that's allowed this Bills team to start out undefeated. And they come out and he has a bad performance today, and everyone is going to sit here and blame Josh Allen. But it's really Sean McDermott who's not been getting it done. It's really the Bills' defense that's been unable to get it done. And I just want to make that message clear. All credit to the Titans. They came out, they played a fantastic game in all three facets. They were very good in terms of complementary football. The coaching was there. The quarterback play was there. The defense was there. Shout out to Malcolm Butler, by the way. He's had a couple rough seasons, but he got back at it today and had a nice performance with 2 picks, baby. Malcolm Butler, a legend, always to me. Number 1 in my heart. But all credit to the Titans. The Buffalo Bills, a team that everyone was saying and about to crown. No, you got to get better. You got to get better in a lot of areas. Offensive line, defensive line, secondary. Everywhere but quarterback and receivers has been lacking for the Bills despite their winning record. So I'm very intrigued to see. Next week they play the Chiefs. They still have yet to play the Patriots. How does that go down? I still think they're a good team. I still think they'll make the playoffs. But I want to see, and I said this last week and the week before that, I got to see this Bills team, as good as they look on offense, I got to see them play a good team. Today they played a good team and they got walloped, dominated, destroyed, wrecked, whatever adjective you want to throw out there. I'm running out of them. But there it is, Tuesday Night Football, great game by the Titans. They deserve all the respect. I'm not saying they're the best team in the league, but I do think that they look to be, like I said a couple weeks ago when everyone laughed at me and was throwing memes in my face. The Titans are a lock. Throw the key out the window and close the window. You can lock the window as well. The Titans will be in the playoffs, guys. Competent quarterback, well-rounded roster. Good GM, good coach. What else you need? And it seems like a good home field at that as well. Especially, 8,000-9,000 after all the stuff going on with that roster. That's a little sketchy to me. I'm not exactly a fan of that, but whatever gets the job done, Tennessee. So that was Tuesday Night Football, and not so enjoyable game. There was a better game last night that we'll get to later on. Before I get to the second topic, which is the theme of the show today, make sure you do Gronk spike that like button if you haven't already. And of course, subscribe to the Bottom Line View. All right. Again, we'll get to the comments later on, guys. Trying to fly through these topics and this show. So the second topic is anyone even good? And I thought this was a good carryover or transition from the Bills, because just a moment where you feel like you're gonna crown a team as the top dog in a conference or the top dog in the league, they disappoint you. They come back down to earth, they lose, and your mindset changes on what that team is. The Bills are an example. 2 days ago on Sunday, the Chiefs got destroyed, all right? The Chiefs were supposed to be the best team. The Ravens were destroyed by the Chiefs, okay? What else? The Packers have beat they're undefeated, but who knows? They could lose to the Bucs this week, and then they're going to fall back down to the earth. But I'm just saying, the Packers, as good as they've been, as great as Aaron Rodgers has been, the Packers have beat teams that are like a combined 5-16? So, are they good? I don't know. The Seahawks, they barely squeak by the Vikings. It seems like the Seahawks can never play an un-Seahawk game. They always got to make it close. They always got to make it entertaining. Seahawks, can you just blow somebody out, please? So I can say that you are good? I understand you're undefeated, but if you never blow any team out, are you actually legitimately elite? Like, yes, in this NFL, don't get me wrong, these teams are the top teams. But if this was any other year, would we be saying that? I don't know. Right? The Titans, undefeated, good on ya. This was the first actual good team they beat this season. So I'm still, the jury's out on them. I'm not believing that they are going to be the top team in the AFC or the top team in the NFL. I think they'll be a playoff team. Said that a couple weeks ago after just 2 games. But I'm not willing to believe they are legitimately an elite team. You go down the list. I don't know if anyone is actually good. I just think everyone sucks and the best bad team is going to win. I'm throwing that out there. I think the team that has the least flaws or the team that can overcome their flaws the most will win the Super Bowl. That's my answer to you. In a season with a lack of offseason, in a season with a lack of coaching, a lack of offseason, a lack of preparation, this is what we get. Now, the product has been good in a different way. It's been entertaining, okay? There has been good football out there. But can we truly say that there is a team that you look at right now and say, that team has 0 flaws? They are fantastic. They are an historic team. I don't see a single one, and I don't think I'm going to see a single one in 2020. So you know what that comes down to? It comes down to who's prepared. It comes down to who can minimize their mistakes, penalties, turnovers, who can hide their weaknesses. We'll see. But right now, I'm not believing that anybody is good. I'm not. You can't convince me otherwise. Because 1 second, I'll say this team's good, and then they're going to lose. So, I'm not doing it. So if you expect me to do it, I'm not doing it. Everyone sucks. Okay? Everybody sucks. All right. Next topic. Le'Veon Bell. Talk about sucks. Okay? The New York Jets absolutely, positively suck. Like, from every level. At every level. All right? The management, the coaching, I don't even want to go there. Quarterback play, defense, offense, offensive line. I legitimately saw a power ranking today from ESPN that said that the Jets' biggest weakness was football. Not their offensive line, not their, quarterback, that they legitimately could not play football. That was their weakness. The New York Jets are an absolute joke. And it actually, I know that you guys want me to sit here and say it's exciting for me to say that, or like I feel some sort of joy and pride to say that. No. I'm a Patriots fan, but the AFC East was at its best through my 24-year life when the Jets were good. So I want the Jets to be good. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I miss the days when the Jets were actually competent, because I think that market and those fans, I don't want to say deserve a good team. That might be going a little bit far, but it would be good for the NFL if the Jets were good. So me being an NFL channel, I don't want to say that the Jets, I don't want them to suck. I want them to be good, but they're just incompetent. I hope they can turn this around. How do you sign a running back, which in the first place did not play, to this massive contract, and then you release him? You don't trade him. You don't try to get something out of him. You don't even want it to work at the beginning. You signed a running back that your offensive coach, who's your head coach, didn't even want. Adam Gase didn't even want him. Guys, do you understand that when they signed Le'Veon Bell, They didn't want him. And now they waste all this money and they release him. Again, released him. Not trade. Released. Cut. Let go of. For free. With nothing in return. Okay? That's what they did. That's the Jets for you. The Jets are, honestly, it's comedy at this point. Okay? They might go 0-16. They might be the worst team I've seen in a long time. Like, I would like to see them play that Browns team from like 4 years ago or 3 years ago or whatever it was. That would be football right there. But as for, because I know you guys are going to ask, Mitch, okay, this is the first question you're going to ask. Mitch, are the Patriots going to sign Le'Veon Bell? Probably not, I'm going to be honest. Le'Veon Bell, he might still have something left because honestly, I can't honestly say that any Jets player on their team right now sucks because Adam Gase makes everybody suck except Jamison Crowder because he's unsuckable. Other than that, I don't know. Like Sam Darnold, he still could be something, but I don't want to say he's not yet. Le'Veon Bell, I've seen, as small as they are, moments of promise, right? Like if he were to go somewhere with a competent offensive line, a good quarterback, I think he'd be pretty solid, or a good play caller. I think he would be pretty solid. Like if he signed with New England or New England signed him, I would be happy. I'm not going to lie. Like I think that would be exciting. But in terms of the Patriots needing him, no. They got like 15 running backs. They got running backs that you haven't even heard of that aren't even on the roster, but Bill has written down just in case he's got to call them that currently work at McDonald's. Like that's how deep their depth chart is at running back right now. So they're going to find a running back for free. And this is why you don't pay running backs. I've come on here for 3-4 years on this channel. And I've said, don't pay the running back. Like, it's not worth it. You can find a guy in the 3rd, 4th round that can get the job done. Look at just side rant, look at the Cowboys right now. The Cowboys could have signed Byron Jones, who's balling out for the Dolphins right now. Instead, they signed Zeke, who's fumbling every game and giving the football to the other team. Meanwhile, they have one of the best kept secrets at backup, Tony Pollard. They could just be playing Pollard and have Byron Jones, and all of a sudden they're a good team. Because at least that would help their secondary, which is non-existent. So, like, the money that you have to pay the position to get that guy just doesn't make sense. And I'm not trying to say that the running backs don't deserve to be paid, that they're not valuable, that I don't love watching them, but it's just a fact of the matter that if I was a general manager of an NFL team, I would not be paying running backs once their contract comes up. I don't care if you're Jim Brown. I don't care if you're Priest Holmes in 2003. I'm not paying you, okay? I don't care. I'd rather go out there and add a receiver, add a corner, add a pass rusher, sign my quarterback to a long-term deal, than pay the running back. Look at the Panthers. 0-2 at Christian McCaffrey, 3-0 at Mike Davis, who was cut by the Seahawks like 16 times in the last 3 years. Mike Davis is balling out right now, and yet he's going to have to go back on the bench because McCaffrey was paid $1 kajillion, and everybody before the year was telling me McCaffrey's all this valuable. And I love Christian McCaffrey, man. I think the guy's a really cool dude. He's a great football player, but it is just not worth it. Like, how many times do you gotta see that it's not worth it for it not to be worth it? Who's the next running back that's gonna get paid? I can't wait for that. All right. Next. The Atlanta Falcons. Danny Quinn. Thomas Dimitroff, who I hope I spelt his name right, but I'm not sure I did. The Atlanta Falcons have moved on from an era of football that I thought was very successful for them, and I would like to call it the Matt Ryan era, because I don't know if Matt Ryan's going to be a part of this next era. I just don't know if he is. He's getting up there in age. There's actually rumors that he could be traded, like, soon. And honestly, if they could get a high pick for him, a first-round pick, that might be worth it, because they got a lot more work to do than Matt Ryan. And let's be fair. Matt Ryan is a good quarterback. He can still get the job done for a lot of teams, but Atlanta is not one of them. Atlanta needs a lot more than a Matt Ryan at quarterback or at any position. They need a lot of positions. They need a lot of help. They need to rebuild from scratch. They got some players, but they need more than a Matt Ryan to get them over the top, to carry them somewhere and get the job done. If they're able to get a first-round pick for Matt Ryan, which I think they would be able to, I think that's worth it to me. Because Matt Ryan's, he's only getting older. He's showing some small signs of regression from an arm standpoint. And you want to get rid of that guy before he becomes basically a useless asset. You want to get rid of him before he becomes like Phillip Rivers, which the Colts might actually want to trade for Matt Ryan right now, because Matt Ryan on the Colts would actually be very interesting. And I actually think that the Colts would be really good with Matt Ryan, but that's a side point. As far as these two guys are concerned, Thomas Dimitroff, obviously, he actually kind of, I don't want to say means a lot to me, but like, I've always really found his story awesome to hear about. I don't know if you guys know this, but he's actually Canadian. And he was born, I believe, in Winnipeg. And he went to the Patriots. He was a part of their front office. And he was a part of the Patriot dynasty, building this roster, finding players, being a scout, and eventually finds his job as, one of the top GMs in the league at the time. I remember his big moment was probably when he traded for Julio Jones. That was a very bold move that a lot of people did not think was worth it, but he totally nailed that, and it was totally worth it. Thomas Dimitroff was a very good GM for like 10 to 12 years. I think he will get a job somewhere, whether that's as like a co-GM or an assistant GM, or that is as a full-time GM. I do think he'll get another job because I think his role was diminished, or his value, what he did there, was diminished by Dan Quinn coming, Dan Quinn wanting to run his defense and his scheme, and then ultimately that scheme not paying off. Because what the GM is trying to do in the long run is find players to fit the scheme. And Dimitroff, whether he didn't find those players or whether they just couldn't perform within the scheme or the scheme was stale, there's a number of things you could say there. The defense in Atlanta never really was great outside of 1 or 2 seasons. And I did think Atlanta was pretty talented, and Dimitroff found a number of players like Grady Jarrett, Deion Jones, Keanu Neal, Desmond Trufant, these guys that fit this scheme well and were able to perform. But overall, Quinn just never really was able to make it work. He was able to get to the playoffs. He was able to even get to the Super Bowl. But I would actually say that 2016 Super Bowl season was a lot more to do with Kyle Shanahan than any other coach on that staff for what he was able to do with that offense. And I honestly think that Atlanta, now sitting back, that Mr. Blank would say that he should have fired Quinn and hired Shanahan, even though Shanahan right now, it's not going his way. A lot of that's kind of with the quarterback, right? I think Matt Ryan would have seen better years after his MVP year to get rid of his coordinator. Not necessarily get rid of, but lose him was a big loss for them. And yes, they were still able to make the playoffs in 2017, but a lot of that was just due to the talent. We saw the diminished offense right away. We saw the diminished product from Matt Ryan right away. And we saw the corresponding seasons where Quinn couldn't adjust on defense. Quinn couldn't make the correct calls, and they just lagged behind the rest of the NFC South and the NFC. So the Atlanta Falcons, despite some upside with this group, with this era, were unable to capture the ultimate prize. They were as close as anyone has ever been to capturing that prize, but just fell short. And I almost wonder if Quinn was able to win that Super Bowl with Ryan, with Dimitroff versus the Patriots, if they would still be here today, and how that would have changed their course right now. Now, I'm not saying that they would be good right now. I don't think they would be, but I just think the positivity and the mindset behind these guys would be a heck of a lot different. And I think you wouldn't be pressing the reset button. You would still be willing to give them more chances. And that's the difference in the 28-3 right there. So I think overall, this era of Atlanta Falcon football will be looked at as promising, but ultimately disappointing. And I think it more had to do with the coach than the GM, but that's just my personal opinion. And this is nothing personal against Dan Quinn. You guys got to understand, it's nothing personal. I don't even know the guy. I'm just saying, from my perspective, watching them play over these last few seasons, I think that it more had to do with the coaching than the players on the field that were in those places because of the general manager. Not to say that Dimitroff was completely, harmless and didn't make mistakes. He did. But I do think he was good at his job for most of the time. And ultimately, Quinn just grew stale with this group, both from a motivation standpoint and from a schematic standpoint. And that's not a good combination. So we'll see if they get jobs in the future, where they go. I definitely think, as it goes for Quinn, that he'll end up being some sort of defensive coach, whether that's a defensive coordinator or something else. But I think they'll be relevant in the NFL very soon. The Miami Dolphins. Are they back, baby? 2-3. Huge victory. Honestly, this game went so far under the radar that I don't even see it on the radar. Nobody is talking about how the San Francisco 49ers just got obliterated by the Miami Dolphins in Miami. Fitzpatrick looking like Joe Montana and their team looking like the 72 Finns. I mean, they were steamrolling the Niners on defense, on offense, and they legitimately, I know this is funny to say, so don't laugh, okay? I'm warning you, do not laugh. The Miami Dolphins could maybe with an underline, have a chance at a spot in the wild card. I wouldn't be that shocked. I wouldn't. Okay, they're getting better on defense, as I said they would week by week. Their offense is outperforming what I thought it would. I thought it would be decent at times, but very streaky. So far, it's been pretty consistent. Fitzpatrick has been more consistent than he has in the past. And honestly, this guy's playing at like a top 15, top 20 level right now on a weekly basis. He's playing really well. Really well, Fitzpatrick. He's extending plays. He's accurate. He's not making a ton of mistakes. He's giving his team a chance. He's giving his receivers a chance to make plays. Brian Flores is coaching his ass off. This team, the thing I love about Miami, and this is why I always love watching them, the reason I love watching Miami is because they give 110%, that cliche, every down, every snap, and every game. I have never seen the Brian Flores Dolphins come out and lay an egg any week. Any week. Every week. Even if they're the worst team on the field, even if they're less talented than the other team, they come out and they really, really try. And I think that has a lot to do with their coaching and a lot to do with their leadership core that they have on offense and on defense and on this team. the Dolphins are a team that if I had to say, they won't make the playoffs, but I do think that they're going to be a pain for every team they play because they are different. They can upset just about anybody. They're going to be close in a number of games this year. And to go to Miami, like I've always said, is very difficult. So the Dolphins are just going to be a pain, especially considering that, once again, guys, everybody in the NFL sucks. So the Dolphins are not too far behind in that area. The Dolphins might be back. Stay tuned. Guys, if you're enjoying the Bottom Line Week 5 recap and review, Gronk spike that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more NFL and for your weekly Bottom Line NFL reviews. Also, get in that comment section. Let me know if you're watching this live, if you're watching this after the fact, what you thought of week number 5. All right, so the Dolphins, baby. The Dolphins. Okay. We have Monday Night Football, the Chargers versus the Saints. This was a really entertaining game, although I tweeted it out. This man named himself Money Badger. Do you realize the testicles that you have to give yourself the name Money Badger and then proceed to line up for a game-winning kick and miss? The announcers said his name, self-proclaimed by the way, was Money Badger, which to me means he's going to make the kick no matter what because he's money. He lines up for the kick, and he misses the kick, and in the process, loses me $50. Money Badger, you owe me $50. I'm just going to say you owe me $50 because if you make that kick, it never goes to overtime, and if it never goes to overtime, the Saints are unable to cover 28.5. I had the Saints under 28.5. You missed the kick. You blew it. Okay? Money Badger, you owe me $50. I don't even know his real name at this point because I'm just going to call him Money Badger. I'm sorry, but I'm not actually sorry. As for the game, Justin Herbert played his absolute butt off. Balled, man. He balled. He played really well again. And I'm just going to wonder how many weeks in a row defensive coordinators are going to sit there, watch Herbert deliver bombs for 50 yards, and then continue to all-out blitz this guy, and then see them get scored on for a 50-yard touchdown and be like, you know what, we should do that again. And then Herbert drops back, says, I'm big, I'm tough, and I got a rocket on my shoulder, and I'm going to chuck this over the heads of cornerbacks into my guys' hands, whether that's Guyton or Keenan Allen, no Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, it doesn't matter, and he's going to make a play. Justin Herbert has really impressed me. I thought the guy had talent, but the thing that stands out to me the most since he's come out and since he started is his poise. He just plays the game. He has really a demeanor that is very even. He's even-keeled. He does not get too high. He does not get too low. He's not mad if he makes a mistake. He's not super happy if he scores a touchdown. He is just a guy that's going out there and playing football. And in the process of doing that and not being too emotional at the quarterback position, he's playing good football. The moment is not too big for him. And obviously, he's as athletic as just about any quarterback in the league. If you put number 17 jersey with the Bills logo on it, and you strapped it on Justin Herbert and you threw him out there for Buffalo, it would probably take me a minute to realize that's Justin Herbert and not Josh Allen. In terms of the athleticism, in terms of the arm, in terms of the ability to run, in terms of the poise under pressure, ability to break sacks, Not in the greatest comparison today once Allen lost, but he has that kind of upside. The same upside that Josh Allen brings, so does Justin Herbert. And Herbert, was more accurate coming out. I don't think he quite had the arm and the freakish ability that Josh Allen had when I watched him on tape, but he had more consistent accuracy and production from that standpoint, and he's bringing that all to the table. The variance of Josh Allen as well as consistency. This guy could be really, really good. And the thing about the Chargers there is I was watching it with my dad, and we're sitting there and saying, and he's continuing like, this team has so much talent. They're so young. And I'm like, yeah, they've been like one of the 5 best rosters in the league like every year for the past 5 years in a row. But yet they had a quarterback in Phillip Rivers who was good for 1 year, and the rest of the years he kind of sucked those 5 years. So the Chargers were searching for that guy, and now that they have that guy, imagine if they can just stay healthy for 1 year. They're going to be absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. So Justin Herbert with a future of Austin Eckler and Mike Williams and Hunter Henry and even throwing like Joshua Kelly and Justin Jackson at running back, who are complementary pieces. You throw in the defense of Derwin James and Joey Bosa. I mean, Tillery. This defense and this team has a lot of young pieces, a lot of guys that can ball for years, and I think the Chargers are going to be an issue for Mahomes and this division going forward, because I know that they're losing, but they're damn impressive right now with the amount of injuries they have and the quarterback, considering the circumstances. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of the Saints, they should not have won the game, but they did, so you got to give them credit for that. We see the same issues week in and week out with the Saints. I don't really think they're going anywhere, because I'm honestly going to say that I just think that's what they are. I just think the Saints are a team with a bad defense. They're slow, they're old, they can't really cover running backs or tight ends. They're tough versus slot receivers. It's not going well. Lattimore is struggling even when he plays. The pass rush is good. At times they can stop the run, but at other times they've been inconsistent in an area that they've been dominant recently. And they've been getting scored on at least a minimum of 23 points a game through the first 5 weeks, which I think leads the NFL in points allowed. On the offensive side of the ball, Michael Thomas or no Michael Thomas is not going to fix Drew Brees' arm. And they're going to lack the ability to throw down the field all season. So for me, the Saints scream a team that will probably make the playoffs, a team that will probably beat all the bad teams in the league because they have superior decision-making at quarterback. They have a great coach. They have good veteran players and some good playmakers, great playmakers in Thomas and Kamara. You throw in Jared Cook as well. But once they play the elite teams, I just don't feel this team has a ceiling that will surpass a Green Bay, a Seattle. I think they will have to see the next time they play Tampa. Luckily, this NFC is relatively weak. But when they play an Aaron Rodgers or a Russell Wilson and that quarterback position is just so far to the other side, it's going to be difficult for them to win. I'm sorry. It just is. The Saints, they're competent, but I don't think they're great, and I'm officially going to say and rule that they will not be a true contender. They're probably going to be one of the biggest pretenders come playoff time, as they've honestly been for the last 3 years. So that's what I got to say. All right. The Raiders. The Raiders with the huge win. The Raiders destroyed, and I mean defeated, dominated the Kansas City Chiefs. They ran the football. Derek Carr played one of his best games in a while. Henry Ruggs showed his importance to this offense. Darren Waller played well. They got Trent Brown back on the offensive line. Their offensive line played well. The defense, I don't want to say they played well because they didn't really, but the secondary showed up when they needed to and made enough plays when they needed to get the job done. The Raiders could be another team that sneak in that playoff spot because it's weird. They continue to beat teams that I don't think they can beat. Like, I didn't think they would be able to beat the Saints, but they did. I didn't think they'd be able to beat the Chiefs, but they did. I thought both games would be close, but I didn't think that they would actually go out and win the games. Never mind actually dominate the matchups. So the Raiders, if they can continue on this pace and they continue to stay healthy, which is a key, I think more so for the Raiders than anyone else on offense, if they have Henry Ruggs, that's such a big difference maker. It is like the Tyreek Hill impact. He's such a big difference maker for the way they play offense, for the way they call offense, for the respect the defense gives to their passing attack, especially their downfield passing attack. And now you can't just key on Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller. You got to worry about the 4.2 speed. Defensively, they still got a long way to go. I don't think they're going to get there this year, but if their secondary can continue to improve, it's not like other teams in the AFC don't have bad defenses, as we saw with Kansas City. So Kansas City really needs to fix their run defense. I thought it might have just been Chris Jones versus New England. No, it was, their defense was just straight up bad. When they're put into bad positions, they're just too much time of possession. They're giving up. I think they need to start going to that style of play where they just become aggressive. They just go all out. We're going to take the football away or you're going to hit a big play. I think they need to be more volatile of a defense. They need to be more reward and risk and reward. And they're being a little too conservative, I think, right now. And they're being a little bit, I think passive is the word. Like, I think they actually think that they are good on defense, but they're not, and they're playing the game as if they can actually stop you on a consistent basis. But so far, we've seen that if they don't become an aggressive team, they cannot really force you into mistakes. The good defenses can play the way they want to play and stop you. Bad defenses need to resort to tricks. They need to, play a style that is conducive to win games, complementary to their offense. And that's how I feel about the Chiefs defense right now. I would wonder what they would be if their offense wasn't so good. So we'll continue to see that story develop. But like I said, and I actually say this in a video that's coming soon, the Chiefs remind me a lot of the Peyton Manning Colts. They have a historic generational quarterback who had a lot of great talent around him, especially on offense with Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne. He had a great coach, Tony Dungy, Andy Reid. But the defense was basically the difference between them being a Super Bowl team or them being upset waiting to happen. And to me, right now, the Chiefs are an upset waiting to happen the way their defense is playing. If their defense cannot get better, they cannot Colts it, which we saw last year, right? That was their year where their defense actually came together at the right time and enabled them to make a run, similarly to the 2006 Colts. So that's kind of my comparison from the past that I would throw out there. The Colts consistently had bad defenses, actually strangely against the run as well. And that's kind of what I see from the Chiefs right now. Like, at a certain point, you need to be able to make stops and not give up 5 to 8 minute drives consistently because you need to get Mahomes on the field. All right. Final two topics. Dak Prescott. Dak attack. That was probably one of the biggest moments I've seen from the NFL players, the NFL fan community, and just overall, everyone's heart went out to Dak Prescott when he was injured, because I think at the same time, everybody felt that Dak really was so close to getting paid. He was so close to being set for life. And I'm not saying that he still couldn't be, but man, does that hurt. Like, just thinking about the potential that would have set up his family, down the road, not just talking about right now, but 20, 50 years from now, his family would have been pretty set, pretty secure. And now he has a threatening injury that he could be out long term. He's expected to be recovered relatively quickly, at least in time for next season, which is great. But you never know, man. That could end up costing him the long-term security that a lot of these guys, they work to get to the NFL to be able to get that contract, to get paid like that. And Dak might not now. Like, that's the concerning part. Now, hopefully he can come back and play really well. And, I was always on the side of Dak deserves to be paid. Dak deserves to be, one of the top 10 paid quarterbacks in the league, because he is one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. And I don't know now. And I don't know what the Cowboys are going to do. Like, do they move on from Dak? Do they keep Dak? Do they continue to support him? Now it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But until we really see what happens with his recovery, I can't really say. But it's unfortunate, and I wish my best to Dak on the recovery, and hopefully he comes back and lights it up again. He was playing great football before he got hurt, and hopefully he can come back and play the same way. As for the Cowboys, they're left with the red rifle. Now, there's a reason they went out and signed the red rifle, Andy Dalton, because they knew that something was going to happen to Dak, whether that was COVID or the contract, or he was going to sit out because of it, or he was going to get hurt. They've seen it before with Tony Romo. They need the contingency plan. And Andy Dalton is just about as good of a contingency plan as you can get. I mean, he's not Brian Hoyer here. So Andy Dalton is a guy that's been to the playoffs many times. He's won a lot of games in the league. And I still think he is an NFL caliber starter, especially with the supporting cast he has offensively. The question is, can the defense step up? I think he's going to have success. And in this weak division, the Cowboys with Andy Dalton, don't get it twisted, still have an opportunity to win the division. They can win 7-8 games. It looks like they'll win this division. And I think Andy Dalton can do that. Now, the bigger problem with the Cowboys is, can they protect the ball? Stop turning the ball over. Maybe Andy Dalton will do that. Maybe we'll see them go more to a heavy run game, which will therefore, it should help their defense by keeping it off the field and maintaining more possession by running the ball more. But I don't know if that's their best way to success. It wasn't with Dak because they were so efficient passing the ball. But now with Andy Dalton, you have to wonder how they changed schematically and how that changed their team and how that changes the NFC East. And the Eagles look to be getting a little bit better with each and every game. So we'll see if they can make something of it as well. I'm really intrigued to see this happen, and I wish the best to Dak, and I wish the best as well to Andy Dalton. Hopefully this guy, he was in Cincinnati for his whole career. Now he's in Dallas. The spotlight's on him. Hopefully he can make something of it. The final topic is the Cleveland Browns. Are the Cleveland Browns legit? That is the question. Are they legitimate? The Cleveland Browns, I streamed the game here on TheBottomLineView versus the Indianapolis Colts. They pretty much bullied the Colts. In the run game, they were able to run it. They were able to get after Rivers, force mistakes, force turnovers, make plays on defense. Myles Garrett, again, defensive player of the year right now, probably. Baker Mayfield, again, didn't play that good or that well. But the Browns were so good elsewhere that it didn't really matter. And they played what was supposed to be the best defense in the NFL, and they pretty much did what they wanted for the most part. And their defense had some huge plays there. I think I got to credit Kevin Stefanski. I don't think he's getting enough credit. I question the hire at the start. I thought this team would be a playoff team, mostly due to the talent they possess. And it looks like they will be. But I think a lot more than the talent is their coaching's actually been good this year. Stefanski has put together a nice offense that complements what they love to do and what they're good at. And Kareem Hunt played really well on Sunday. And he's calling plays really well. He's living up to the hype. If Baker can just be average, this team has a chance because they can run the ball. They can dictate time of possession. They got Odell, they got Landry, they got Hooper, they got the weapons in the passing game to make plays. And the defense, once they're healthy, they'll be a lot better. So And they got Myles Garrett, who's a game wrecker. The Browns are a lot more legit than people want to believe, I think. Because, like I said at the beginning, the NFL is weak. It sucks. Nobody is legitimately elite. I'm not sitting here saying, the Chiefs are an unbeatable, godly team. I'm not sitting here saying that the Ravens are unbeatable in the AFC North or the Steelers. I'm not sitting here saying that the Patriots are what they used to be. Like, nobody in this conference or in this league is unbeatable, and nobody is like to the point where they're going to be in the Super Bowl or they're going to be in the NFC or AFC championship game. At least in years past, I could say, yeah, that team will be in the AFC championship game. That was New England for like 10 years. Or the Chiefs last year. Yeah, they're going to be in the AFC championship game. I don't care if Mahomes gets hurt for 3 games. Like, now with the Browns, they could beat anybody, I think. As long as Mayfield doesn't lose them the game, which he tried to lose them the game versus the Colts. He just wasn't bad enough to lose them the game, and Rivers happened to be worse. So we'll see how that works out. They play a huge game versus Steelers coming up. That will be really big, telling me what that battle truly is within the AFC North. But that's a 3-team battle to win that division right now. The Browns, the Steelers, the Ravens, all 3 of them look good. They all look like playoff teams, and they all look like they'll be in the mix. So I'm really intrigued to see that game this weekend, and if the Browns can continue to put together wins and string together these victories. So I do believe, to answer this question, they are legit. I think they are a playoff team, and I think they will contend for this division. There you have it. That's the bottom line for week number 5. Let's get to the comments, guys, and I'll answer your comments. Let's have some fun in the chat. Hope you guys enjoyed the regular show, the normal show. If you did, Gronk, spike that like button. Subscribe to The Bottom Line View for more weekly NFL, The Bottom Line weekly NFL review. And, of course, comment your opinion on this week. Okay, let's get to the comments. You guys have any questions or anything? As far as stream games, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to hang out with my friends this weekend watching the games, so that might kind of change the plans of what's going to happen, but I'll let you guys know what's going to go down. Dan says, should I start Andy Dalton? Do you think Dallas still produces points? Yes, I do think they produce points. Do I think that they produce them like they did with Dak? Probably not, but I still think they'll be one of the best offenses in the game. Thoughts on Herbert? I went on a whole rant about that, so you're going to have to tune back and check that out. Ultra says, Mitch, do you want me to make the top 10 on Canva right now? You can, but I'm not gonna feature it on the show. We can put it on Instagram like typical, like usual. And that reminds me, guys, I have 2 things to promote here. Go check out, you might have seen it on the channel, the Loyal to the Game trailer. It's a practicum project for my sports media program that I am in at school. And this is a league I've been a part of for Madden online franchise since I was like 12, guys. Been in this league since 2010, 2009-ish. Since I've been online playing Madden, I've been in this league. And it means a lot to me. So go check out on social media. Follow us on Instagram, LTTG Madden. Follow us on Twitter. Please show support. And also go check out the trailer if you're interested. This content, it's going to be a full series for the socials. Go give it a follow. It would really help us out. Also, if you guys haven't already for whatever reason, do follow The Bottom Line View on Instagram. Over the last month, we've been building it up. Myself, Ultra, Durkant, they've been doing a good job helping me out over there, posting some quality stuff. Durkant with his comparisons, Ultra with his top 10s. We're going to continue to do that over there. So if you're not already following us on Instagram, even if you don't got Instagram, make an account, give us a follow, get an account. Even if it's the only follow you got, make an account, follow us. I promise you it's worth it. Exclusive content over there on The Bottom Line View. You're going to get videos of me just ranting. You're going to get picks and stardom situm, and you're going to get all that stuff on Instagram. So go check that out. Do I think the Bears will win against the Panthers? The Panthers, I believe, are favored. I think that's going to be a really good game. If I had to say either way, yeah, I do. I do think they're going to win. Now I know Dose of D on there says LL the title. I don't think he wants the Bears to win. So that's that. Ultra says Matt Patricia, Coach of the Year for making a talented team look untalented. Yes. The Lions, man. I guess it's a good time to talk about the Lions. I actually took them out of the show. I was going to talk about them. They're the Lions. I don't know what else to say. But four games in a row. They're leading by what? Double digits? I think that's the first time that's ever happened where in 4 games they've lost. They've lost 3 games or 4 games? I can't remember at this point. I think they've lost 3, but they've blown all of their games? Feel for it. I feel for the Lions fans. They got an easy schedule coming up, so we'll have to see if they can bounce back. Cleveland, City of Champions, yeah. You got to feel good for the Browns fans, though. Got to feel good about the Browns fans. If the Panthers sniff the playoffs, will Matt Rule win Coach of the Year? Probably. I would think so. I mean, I don't think anybody picked the Panthers to make the playoffs. So, Michael says, who wins the World Series? I have no idea, bro. No idea. Not the right person to ask. Opium says, Patricia to Atlanta. Ultra would love that, I'm sure. What about the Seahawks game versus the Vikings? I mean, it was a typical Seahawks game. You know, they made it close for no particular reason. There was a Russell Wilson fourth quarter comeback. All of that stuff is typical. Is any player in the NFL good? Yes, players are good, but teams are not. Brian says, should I trade for Chark, buy low, and another bad player to use as waiver bait and give Slayton and Akers or Hurst? I would probably do that. I think Chark's going to be better than Slayton for the rest of the year. Rob says, does Matt Ryan get traded to San Francisco this offseason? That would be interesting. I wonder what Ultra would think about that. I think the 49ers would instantly become his favorite team. I think the 49ers would instantly become a favorite in the NFC if that were to happen. My more interesting question, Rob, is does Jimmy Garoppolo, if Cam Newton leaves, go back to New England? Mitch, you should rank the players you are most hyped to see return from injury. I think I could do that in the offseason, Connor. I think that's more of an offseason relevant video. Dark asks Le'Veon Bell, where does he go next? Talked a little bit about Le'Veon Bell. I honestly don't know. There are not a lot of teams that need running backs. It's a very replaceable position. I actually think his best destination, and I'm not just saying this, I actually think his best destination would be Tampa, but they would have to release Leonard Fournette because they need a receiving running back. I mean, Ronald Jones drops like 4 passes a game. Fournette can't catch the ball. Shady McCoy is finished. Keyshawn Vaughn, they don't trust. If they sign Le'Veon Bell, that would be so good for Tom Brady. That would be a really good fit, especially Bruce Arians knowing how to utilize him. But I think more realistically, where would he go? Maybe Miami or I don't know. Who needs a running back really? Nobody. The Steelers, I think, would be willing to bring him back. Not the Ravens. The Bengals just re-signed Mixon. They wouldn't want him. He's a free agent too, so he gets to pick where he plays. Jacksonville's not going to sign him. The Texans, would the Texans want him? I know they just got David Johnson, but I mean, you could have 2 old backs duo there who have similar skill sets. That would be interesting, I guess. The Titans obviously don't need him. The Colts don't need him. The Raiders don't need him, although that might happen because John Gruden. I wouldn't rule it out. The Broncos don't need him. The Chargers, maybe, if Austin Eckler's seriously hurt and I don't know, Anthony Lynn's a running back guy, so I wouldn't rule that out. The Giants, I guess, but the Giants are, you know what? The Giants aren't eliminated in their division because their division is horrible. So they lost Saquon. They don't really have a good running back. They just signed Devontae Freeman, but I mean, is Bell better than Freeman? Probably. Washington, probably not, but I wouldn't rule that out again because they're not great at running back. The Eagles, probably not, but again, like, they're another team that loves to have, lots of running back, not just one, but 2, 3 guys. The Lions signed AP, so I don't really see that happening. Although I don't think he'd be a bad fit there. Chicago could use a backup for sure, especially a guy like Bell who could catch the ball. Like, I think Bell's more of a value at receiver than he is at running back at this point. I think he's just better in that area of the game right now. But I don't know. All right, Mr. Fulton, thanks. Ultra says, if the Niners got Matt Ryan, they'd be contenders. I'd be like you, Mitch, and cheer for 2 teams. The Niners should make a blockbuster trade and trade for Ryan and Julio. How would they get that done? Who would they trade? Tell us your top 5 teams. Packers, Seahawks, Chiefs, Patriots, why are you guys making me hurt my head? Ravens. Titans. Hey, Kevol's in the chat. What's going on, Kevol? He says Cardinals. The Bills are back to being the same old Bills. Yeah, it seems like it. Definitely seems like it. A first rounder and Bosa. Why would the 49ers trade Nick Bosa, guys? That's just ridiculous. I think you have to put Tennessee top 5. They're undefeated and they just whoop the crap out of the Bills. Rank the AFC and NFC North teams. Packers, Bears, Lions, Vikings. AFC North, Bengals last. Browns third. And actually, Ravens and Steelers are very close. What happened to the Bills? I went on a rant about that earlier, so you're going to have to tune into the beginning. We're just wrapping this up now. We're just answering questions. I already went on all my rants for tonight. Kevel, why Bell to the Cardinals? Randomness says, who would the Colts trade for Matt Ryan? I think picks. I think anybody trading for Matt Ryan would trade picks for Matt Ryan. Durkant says, Ravens aren't better than the Chiefs. Clown. Jeez, that's harsh. Just making fun of Nicholas, man. Tony says, Raiders. Tony, the Raiders top 5? Ultra, Mitch, do you think Seattle gets a veteran edge rusher at the deadline? Kerrigan, Carlos Dunlap? I guess that's a good question for Kevol. I think They could. I think that would be worthy of the investment. That would definitely be worth it. The question is, do they do it? I don't know. And are those teams willing to trade them? I don't know. Probably I would do it if I were them, especially considering you've given up all this stuff for Jamal Adams and you're kind of in win now, we can win a Super Bowl this year, especially considering the rest of the NFL. The entire NFL is terrible. So, the Seahawks, the Packers, the Chiefs, whoever thinks they can win the Super Bowl should be all in to win the Super Bowl. That includes a team like the Colts, who the only reason they cannot win the Super Bowl is because they don't have a quarterback. So if you got to trade for Matt Stafford or Matt Ryan or Brian Hoyer, just kidding, you can do it. Go do it. Make it happen. Cav says could fit Kingsbury's passing scheme. That'd be interesting. They did just pay Kenyon Drake, though, and Edmonds is pretty darn good. So I actually don't think he would play much there, but who knows? Gary says, hey, BLV. What's up, Gary? Thumbs up to you. Who wins Defensive Rookie of the Year? Good question, man. A couple of weeks ago, I would have said Antoine Winfield Jr. the way he was playing, but I really don't know who's leading that because Chase Young got hurt. I don't know. Derek Brown hasn't been great. Chin, maybe? Maybe Chin of the Panthers. He's been playing pretty well. Maybe him. Depends how much the Panthers keep playing well. Do I think the Texans can make a comeback? Yes, I do. I mean, they played, the Steelers, the Ravens, the Chiefs. That's not easy. With Deshaun Watson, anything's possible. And now that the cancer Bill O'Brien is gone, they got a chance. I won't say it's a likely chance, but I wouldn't rule it out because I don't think there's any team. The Titans look like they're going to make the playoffs, but I think the Texans could squeak into a wild card. If they were 8-8, 9-7, and they were able to get a wild card, I wouldn't be shocked. How good of a shot do you think the Patriots have of winning their division? I would give them a 55% chance of winning the division right now, even though they're a game behind the Bills. Nicholas Gill in cap says Jalen Johnson. Holden says, after Dak went down, do I start Matt Ryan every week for fantasy? It depends who else is out there. If you can pick somebody else up that has good matchups or just play the waiver wire every week and see who has the best matchup every given week, that's probably the way to go without Dak, because Matt Ryan isn't a guy that you want to start every week, but he can get the job done more times than not. Durkant says, Pat's got to go 12-4 or better because Miami isn't losing another game. All right. Rank all the divisions. All right, this is the last question for tonight, guys. Rank all the divisions. The NFC West first. The AFC North second. The NFC North third. No, that's tough. So how do I want to do? I almost need to write this down or something. Let me write this down because I need to do this in my head. So I think the NFC West is first for sure. I think second is probably the AFC North. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Okay, so last is NFC East. That's easy. All right. Seventh, I don't want to say the NFC South. I think it's probably, the AFC West. That is hard, man. What is the second worst division in football? Wow. So you have the NFC South, the AFC South, the AFC East, the NFC North, and the AFC West. So AFC West has Kansas City, the Raiders, the Chargers, and Denver. The NFC North, Green Bay, Chicago, Detroit, Minnesota. I think right now you have to say the third best division is the NFC North. I think right now. Then the fourth best division is, the AFC East has 2 playoff teams, and Miami, who's playing pretty well. The Jets are terrible. The NFC South, I think the AFC East is better than the AFC South. The AFC East is better than the AFC South, I think. Because, yeah, I think so. So I'm going to say that's close, though. It is really close. But I'd probably say the AFC South is the second worst. I'd probably put the NFC South. No. Whew, man. You guys are asking the tough questions today. I think is the AFC South better than the AFC West, though? That's hard, man. I don't know. They're all kind of the same. I'll say the AFC West is slightly better than the AFC South, although I'm not confident about that. That might be wrong, actually. And then you got the AFC East and the NFC South. I think, and which one am I missing here? The NFC North is gone. The AFC South is gone. The NFC South and East. Yeah, so I think, who's better, NFC South or AFC East? So basically, it's a 3-team division each. I would say that the 4th team, Atlanta, is better than the Jets. So I'd probably say the NFC South is slightly better than the AFC East. So my orders would be NFC West first, AFC North second, NFC North third, NFC South fourth, AFC West fifth, AFC East fifth, AFC West sixth, AFC South seventh, NFC East last. So that would be my order. There you go. All right. I don't know. That might not even be accurate, though, because, yeah, I don't even really know. But anyways, thanks, guys, for watching. Gronk, spike that like button if you enjoyed. Also, subscribe if you are new to The Bottom Line View. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching. Peace.